either the president or the people that would suggest the laws would be put in place. The Senate would then vote on these laws to see if we pass them or not. I think this situation can both keep our government transparent and also give the Senate and the people more power in our government. Thank you.
Okay. And Gerza?
All right. I believe that the way to be transparent is simply through action. Actions speak louder than words. I want to have all the secretaries busy. I want to have them working on their tasks. I want to make sure that we're productive. The best way to be clear about what we're doing is to have very obvious results. That's what I'm about, results.
Okay. Do any of you have any words for each other regarding those answers? Nope. You do? No? Okay. Next question. What is your plan to combat any form of corruption? We're going to start with Cursor this time. And you're ready to go.
All right. Well, corruption, honestly, mostly comes from nepotism, I've noticed. People would, for example, give their friends a secretarial position if they were president. And honestly, one of the main reasons that we are having this debate today is because I made the decision to make sure that my cabinet would have a different Secretary of Interior. And I mean this politely, but my opposition has been inactive. And for the question about transparency, it's just, if we want to fight corruption, we have to be willing to hurt people's feelings. We have to be willing to make hard decisions. And we have to be willing to have certain people not be in the presidential cabinet. I could have taken the easy route, but I decided that I wanted to do what's best for America and have a different Secretary of Interior that would keep the nation together.
Okay. And Bernie?
First of all, I would like to add up. I am here because of a change in Kurz's representative of Interior, Secretary of Interior. But there's a reason for that. You see, Kurza would make a deal with me, or at least attempt to make a deal with me, to have me as his Secretary of Interior if we dropped out of the race. What would eventually happen is he would rug pull us and pretty much, from our look, take us out of the race in favor for his advantage without any gain. I believe, answering your question, Diddy, to keep our government out of corruption, we need to be with the people and right up in front with the people. We need the people to know what we are doing, and we need the people to be a part of this. I think Kurza has a point. We need to make hard decisions, but not just us need to do that. This is our country. This is our people's country, and they deserve to have a right in what we do. And that's why I think we need to keep things more transparent and give more power to our people. Thank you.
Good answers from both sides, guys. Okay, next question. How can the American people trust in your current leadership, your cabinet, and your ability to govern effectively? Okay, I'm going to start with Bernie this time. So, stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Denny. As you can see, most of my time so far in this debate has been showing the fact that I want to be very transparent in this election. And I very much so do. I want you people to know, yes, I am new here. And I'm going to admit that. I may not have as much experience as Kurza and as much power, and I may not be as good as Kurza in many things. I just got kicked out of the server. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that I may not be perfect. Nobody is, especially for this job. But I'm here I want to make this country better. I think everyone here does. And I'm here to, how do I put this? I'm here to fix things for the better of our country and to keep things clean and to keep things transparent without corruption. And to make our country rely on us, I think we need to keep you guys as a part of it. Thank you.
And Geza?
Respectfully, what was the question again? I'm not sure. I
The
kind of
question
lost what it
was,
was.
how can the American people trust in your current leadership, your cabinet, and your ability to govern effectively?
All right. So trust comes from trust is built. Trust takes time. You can't trust someone who you don't know. You can't trust someone who you don't see, who you don't interact with, who's not there. You can't trust with someone that you haven't spent time with. You can't trust someone who doesn't have experience. You can trust someone who's been around, who has results, who's good at their job, who has ideas, who stands for something. You can trust someone if they're always there. I will always be there for America. I will never, ever make any sort of deals with America's enemies. I stand to protect this country. I'm up here today not because I want to have the presidency, but because I owe it to America, and we owe it to each other that we get the job done the way it needs to be done. So to answer your question, the way that you build trust is with clear results.
Good answers from both sides, guys. Okay. Do you guys have any words for each other at the moment? Or do you
Yes.
move to the next question? Yes? Okay. You have the floor. Did you have any words for him, Bernie?
Sorry, though, my microphone. Curza
It's all right.
here. I want to first of all thank. I'm glad that he's been here for this country since day one, and I'm glad he's been here for you guys. And he has a good point. I haven't been here for you, but how can you? How can you believe me to not be here? How can you expect me to not be here? For sorry. I was thinking about something. What I was trying to say is I failed. I wasn't there for you guys in the beginning. But now I'm here for you. I'm here forever. I don't care if I win this presidency or not. I'm here to make this country better any way I physically can. If that means winning the presidency, it means winning the presidency. And if I can do that, I can promise you I'm going to do not just what you want, but what you need. Thank you.
And do you have any response for that, Koza?
No, I mean, I want to say that I heard what happened to your grandfather. No disrespect. So obviously my opposition had a fair reason not to be around for the server's beginning, and I respect that. But on the other side of that, you can't build a campaign when you just simply weren't there, when nobody really knows what you're capable of or what you'll do. And I mean, I don't want to be malicious in this statement, but people just, I mean, you could be a great president, but nobody really has any way to know that you would be. We have nothing to base it on. So that's my point.
Okay. Any last words, Bernie? Make it short if you do have any.
No.
Okay. Next question is, and now, what are your greatest accomplishments inside of this United States? We're going to start with Cursor, and the floor is yours.
Well, this is a funny one now. Look at the city around you. I built this entire city myself. To go past that, personal accomplishments, I've gathered $400,000, most of it spent on building. Republican accomplishments, we've made Savannah, beautiful city if you've been there, Almost rivals New York, I would even go to say, but New York is still better. But yeah, we've built this country. The two richest people on the entire server are Republicans, and we've obviously that you included. Well, ran as a Republican at the very least. But we've done a lot, and our accomplishments speak for themselves, I'd like to say.
And Bernie?
You know, Curza has a lot of accomplishments, and I do admire that. I admire you, Curza. You've done a lot for this nation, and I want to thank you. But I'm not saying I haven't done anything. My administration has been able to help form multiple states, such as New England and, for a minor part, Florida. And we may have not been here since day one, and we may not have funded such major cities like New York City, but think of it as an opportunity to show you what we can do for this country. Use this as an opportunity to show what somebody else could do to help this nation thrive. Thank you.
Okay, good responses from both parties. From now on, if you guys want to talk about your opponent's response, please just say it immediately after their response is finished. And with that, do you have any words for each other?
I have one extra thing to add. I do
Yep.
want to say I was the co-creator of the very first city in the entire server, Boston. I'd think being at least supporting the creation of one of the first, if not the first, city in this entire nation, in this entire world, is a pretty decent accomplishment. I think all of y'all would. That's all.
Okay. Next question it is. And what are your most important goals that you want to achieve during the presidency? We're going to start off Bernie over here.
I think a major topic that I have not put enough say in this, and I have not talked about this enough. We need to defend ourselves from the French, from the Canadians, from the Texans. We know Texas, Canada, France, they will attack. There is no trying to talk our way out of it. I've learned that. We need to strengthen our military and strengthen our army to the point that we can defend ourselves against our enemies and crush them. I know this may sound weird coming from me, of all people, but we need a unified army. We don't need state militias. I don't think a tiny six-person militia from Vermont is going to be able to copy, and destroy a 60-member empire. We need to unite. We need to overcome, and we need to take down our enemies together. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have something to say about that, if I am allowed to rebuttal.
Yep, you're allowed.
Well, Bernie, you have a lot of talk about how you want to, embolden the military and stop French aggression. Clearly a very big change in policy from before when you were trying to work with the Canadians and work with the French. Of course, they turned you down on this offer for your presidency. You would work with them. They didn't even want that. But what do you have to say for yourself for such attempts repeatedly to try and join the French alliance, help Canada? You even took a vacation there last week. What do you have to say for yourself about that?
First of all, I do want to mention I have never made a deal with any outside government. I took a vacation to Canada, yes, and I may have bought beer from the Canadian Prime Minister, yes. I would never make a deal to unite with our enemies. I do admit that I may have been too pacifistic to France and Canada in my campaign and my career. But people change. And I've learned how scummy their government is and how horrible they are as a group. I think that what Curse is saying, as me being a sympathist the Canadians into the French and saying that I continuously tried to make deals with them. That isn't true. I never made a deal with any government, and I'm going to continue to attempt to defend our country until the day I die. Thank you.
Okay, Keza, do you want to speak on that topic again, or do you want to move on to the next?
I feel like both of our sides are pretty clear on this. I mean, actually, you know what? I will give a brief. I will talk about this briefly.
Yes,
So-
go ahead.
Obviously, anybody who's followed the Republican campaign for a while knows that militarism is one of our big policies. We want to embolden the military big time. The current Minister of Defense, Southbum, has some great ideas about how our military should function, which is why I feel like we should keep him around. But, I mean, let's get the obvious aside. France and Canada are our opponents. They're our enemies. There's nothing we can do to convince them to ever be our friends, and that's just as clear as day. We shouldn't be doing anything in Canada. We shouldn't even be talking to them. They're Satanists. They're evil. We have proof of this. We have proof that they have been collaborating to kill us, so yes. Very stark contrast from what we've seen before. When we were actually early, before the server went out, France was making deals with us that they wouldn't touch North America if we didn't touch Europe. Instantly broke it. So yeah, we can't trust them for our military. Southam has some great ideas. Centralized military, organized stockpile. We need to have strategy set up before the war. Every battle we need to have a plan before we go in. Just, obvious stuff like that. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Okay. We're going to move on to the next
Ev-
topic now. Oh, do you want to speak?
Yes. So,
Yep, go ahead.
let's say in a situation, Donald Trump went to North Korea. He's went to the Kremlin. He's went to many places that you could say are opposition, our competition, and our enemies. Do you think
May I speak
that's-
briefly?
Let him finish.
Do you think that's against the country? Multiple presidents across the entire history of America have made vacations to places that some people may have not enjoyed and could have seen as opposition. Are those people horrible people? No. I went there to relax and get away from the politics. I went there for a quick vacation, and that's it. I don't want a part in the Canadian government. I don't want to deal with the Canadian government. I don't like the Canadian government. If I could, I'd take True North, put a gun to his head, and blow it off. I went there as a vacation. If you were called a menace to the country because you went on vacation, you wouldn't like it, would you? So why me? Thank you.
All right, am I allowed now?
You're allowed. You have a minute.
So the big difference between Donald Trump going to North Korea and you taking a vacation to Canada is, this should be obvious, you took a fucking vacation there, mind my language. You did not go there on a diplomatic mission, you went there to relax with a Satanist country, with a leader that you said earlier you were personally friends with. Yesterday you said that. Anyone could back that up. You went there because you're friendly with them. You've talked before in the past about how you want to be friends with them. There's evidence, pictures, tons and tons of pictures that you want to work with Canada. And now suddenly people are going to believe that you're a militarist, that you want to take down Canada. You're flip-flopping to try and copy the Republican idea. You're just saying whatever you think will get you into power. I'm sorry, but I have to call it out. That's not acceptable.
Okay. We're going to move on to the next topic now. We're going to move on to the military, okay? And the first question is, what do you see as the most important military challenge for our nation, and how would you address that? We're going to start with Cursor this time, okay? And the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, I think a big military problem that we haven't thought about is the server queue. We've got great big wars that are going to happen, and obviously we're not going to be able to fit our entire population in the server, so it's going to be so competitive before that. Another big problem is going to be logistics. If we're on, I mean, this is probably not likely, but if we get pushed back and our storage gets blown up, we're going to need to have multiple stockpiles. I mean, we don't even really have one organized stockpile set up right now under the current administration. Not to talk bad about it, because there are some very good aspects. But under my presidency, we will have multiple organized stockpiles. We will have excessive pre-war planning. We'll be able to plan how each battle will go down, what city the natural flow of battle is likely to occur, how we can win. But the main thing in war that I don't think people are considering is that there's so many more aspects now than there was previously that it's going to be a challenge, and it requires a lot of innovation. I do want to set up the Navy and Air Force. I do want to add more generals to the Army. I do want to try and make an Army based on merit and not based on nepotism. That is all.
And the floor is yours, Bernie.
Thank you, Diddy. I believe Kurza here just bring up a lot of very good points. I believe that no government, no military, for that fact, should ever be based on nepotism. I think merit is what based our military in real life. It should be what bases it here. We need a military that can stand together and be based off what they can do, not based on what somebody wants. We need somebody there that can do the logistics, because, being honest, no, I'm not a military captain. But I can tell you, many of you, heck, probably even Kurza, could be very great at defending our country. I believe that much of our country can help. Much of our country can be a part of this, and much of our country can rise up and help defend us from others. So I think a major part, to answer your question, Diddy, we need to solidify our army and get it to the point where we have people there that will fight for us and fight well. Thank you.
And any rebuttals from anyone?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, we'll move to the next question. What do you think about the current state of the Navy and Air Force? And how do you plan to fix the issues, if you believe there are issues in those sectors? We're going to start with Bernie, okay? And the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I know this is going to be a little bit extreme sounding, but I have to admit, we barely have an Air Force and a Navy. Our Air Force and Navy is crippled, and it's at the point where it isn't powerful enough to stand on its own. I think my best plan, and this may sound a little bit off-putting, is we need to start recruiting companies that privately create these tanks and these planes to support us in creating a more stronger Navy and Air Force. I also believe that, similar to how we want our Army based, we need naval generals, we need naval troops, we need people in the Navy and Air Force based off merit, based off how they can use their planes, use their ships, and use their weapons to defend our country and keep it democratic and free. Thank you.
Okay. Next question.
Hold on, I didn't get to answer.
Yeah, you didn't let Kurza speak.
I got a bit ahead of myself. Go on, Kirsty, you have the floor.
So as I said before this question, yes, I do have some big plans for the Air Force and the Navy. Right now, we don't have any admirals. I feel like people who have a lot of experience in naval combat should, of course, become an admiral based on merit. I think that we should have the current Republican cabinet member, Final Boy. He would make a great aircraft designer. He's already talked about his interest in this. So I think Final Boy would do a great job for our Air Force, and we, of course, need more admirals to encourage the development of ships and to have people who take a bigger interest in our Navy so that we have more people who are willing and who have very clear goals which are related to the Navy. Because right now we don't really have any naval officers at all.
Okay. Anyone got a rebuttal, or is that the next question? Nope. Okay.
Hold on. I do want to add something real quick.
Go ahead.
So, you guys have a lot to say about how we need to do this and we need to do that, but I haven't heard much about how we're going to do it. So, how specifically do you want to make the Air Force and the Navy better?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. I think it definitely went over my head. I think, like I said, to make our Navy and Air Force better, we need to put people in charge that can fight for it. I have many people, I don't want to say who, because they'd like to be anonymous until after the debate when I announce my cabinet. But we have some people out there that will be great in leading our Air Force and Navy. And we have many people that I know and you know will be great admirals and great generals in helping fight our country. I also believe we need more people out there engineering and creating boats and planes for us. That's why I bring up the idea of maybe having third party companies doing it. Because
May
that
I
gives us-
ask who you would assign these roles to? Who are some members that you think have done or have great potential in these fields?
Some people I would like to say are, especially this man is very complicated. Ronald Kraft or Lifford Scroll. I don't think he's maybe all politically there, but he can make a good plan. He made, from what I know, one of the first planes in the entire states, and that thing's still running well. I still have a couple of choices for who would be the head of our Navy, but I can tell you all of them are going to be great for the position. I don't. I'm going to ask for permission later on in the debate to talk about them in specific because I very much so believe they will be very helpful in protecting our country and keeping all of us safe.
And is that it from both parties?
May I add something?
Go ahead.
So, the Army in specific, who do you think would be a good general? Are there any people that you know that are competent in military that you would recommend?
Hey, Kurza, how do you
What?
feel about being the head of the Army, Kurza?
But what does that say about you making me the head of the Army?
Like I said, I'm not a general. I can't. I'm not the best at being in the military. I haven't been in the military. If I could fight for my country, I would. But I think there are people much better than me and much stronger than me, especially on the battlefield, in the wars, in the fights, and commanding the troops that could lead us into victory. So yes, I may be ceding some ground here, but I'm trying to say me and Cursor are both. I mean, he may not completely agree on this. I believe me and Cursor are both very, very good people for this country. I think I may have not shown it yet, and you may not agree with me, but I believe Cursor over here, he's been fighting, and people on both sides can agree that he's been fighting hard for this country, just like I will for you. Thank you.
Okay. That's going to be it for the military section. We're going to move on to economy now, okay? And your first question is going to be, do you guys have any taxes in plan, okay? And the first speaker will be Cursor. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. I don't really have any taxes planned. I feel like that would not happen. Taxes don't really help anyone. We already have better ways to get the money we need. You know, anything I say will obviously be regurgitated by my opposition, but we've got great donators in the Republican Party who are hard workers, who are breadwinners, who earn money, who help fund projects. They will make this country run, and that's how we're going to make America great. Those strong people who are willing to do what it takes to get us the funds we need. And I mean, look at what we've built so far. Look at all the things that Republicans have accomplished. That's all I have to say about that.
And Bernie, floor is yours now.
Taxes is a hard thing. I think earlier in this nation, you could read some of my very, very old policies and see I used to agree with taxes. I was stupid back then. But now I've agreed. I don't think taxes are going to be the best for our country. I think there are times that we could use taxes, but I don't think they'll be necessary for our country to survive and thrive. I think our country is free and it does not need taxing to survive. I think he has a point where he says there are many Republican breadwinners out there, but you have to think if you look at the top of our leaderboard and if you look at everybody here, not everybody in this country is a Republican making stacks of money. All together, just in my administration, we have around $2 million. Don't fact check me on that. At least that's what I've been told by.
Can I fact check him on that?
You can fact check me on that. I do want to be fact checked on that. You do that while I speak. But like most of the people in my cabinet have around 150 to 200K alone themselves. So I'm not saying that Republicans aren't breadwinners, but I am saying that together we still make money and we can still fund this country and make sure it can thrive together. So how's the fact checking going?
So, I can't find anybody with more than 100,000. If you could help me out on that.
Wait. Let me check. Is it just wait? How exactly do you check other people's balance? Do you just look at Belltop? All right. Last server I was on, you could do /bal and then their username. So, balance.
I'll give you guys 30 seconds to find the answer. Okay.
Yeah, Livid Scroll himself just has 130K around. So I'd say just by himself, and then Aaron an hour ago having around the same.
Livid Scroll, 134,000. That's a little different than 2 million, don't you think?
I meant 2 million. I said 2 million together in the entire administration, and like I said, that may have been a little bit far-fetched. And that's why I said don't fact-check me on it.
To drive a point home here, I feel like this is not a rich versus poor. Everyone has the opportunity to be rich. It's a difference of who actually cares and who is willing to, actually put in the grinding to be rich and who doesn't care.
Well, I see your point, but I think...
Furthermore, Republicans donate so much money. I mean, Pluster, I'll use Pluster as an example, constantly is donating to different projects, Western states, is 2 cities just because of his funding. What's one project that the reformists have funded? What's one thing that has been funded by reformists at all?
I'd like to say maybe the entire state of New England. Boston, as a city itself, was funded by reformist members. Every single city there was built by reformists. The church in Florida was built by reformists. We supported the church up north. We've built many things. We may not talk about them because we don't think there's a need to talk about what we support, because that's not something anybody needs to know. If I'm saying I'm putting money into stuff, the only reason I do it to tell you guys is to look good.
Okay, so excuse me, I hate to interrupt, but so Boston is a level 2 town. Okay, to put that into perspective, New York City is a level 5 town with 2 level 2 suburbs. New England only has 1 city. This scales in comparison to what you're saying.
And you have a point. I do have to say, like I said,
I
we
definitely
aren't-
do.
how do I put this? They may be doing a lot, but then you have to look Florida and then New England. Their leader just left and went to Britain. How do you expect us to create more cities if we don't have a governor? The head developer just left to become British. But just even through all of that trouble,
If I'm wrong, let me know, but isn't
now.
that guy a voter
I'm
for
talking
you?
now.
Are you saying reformists aren't loyal to the country?
No, he's still a U.S. citizen. He has dual citizenship.
Guys,
and
we're going to move on now,
not-
okay? Okay.
Okay.
If you guys want to talk about this later, we can use the time after the main questions, okay? And the next question is going to be, what key policies do you plan to implement to strengthen the economy and drive growth for our great nation? I'm going to start with Bernie, okay? And the floor's yours.
Thank you. I think our economy is doing pretty well. I'm not saying it could be the best that it could ever be, because it's not. I think we have many plans to change the economy. One of those not being taxation. But we have we have many people that we're planning to help go mine and help go farm and help grind to make this money. We don't think we need to use taxes. We need to take money from the population just to thrive, have our economy thrive. Though, going on behalf of things like private companies, I do believe we may need some things like restrictions to make sure people can't trade private owned military vehicles to other nations or do anything against the country. That's less on our economy, but more on private ownership. But still, you have to admit, I think our companies and our economy should be free. But we need to get to a point when somebody's doing something heinous that could affect multiple people and that could hurt people, the government needs to step in. And we need to do something. Thank you.
And Kaiser, the floor is yours.
I just want to add something onto that. So, who was it specifically that built Boston?
I'd like to say that was Nomad, Sheepish, and partly on my half me. I would also say I believe Libet Scroll supported. I may be wrong.
What about Tangy Duck? Tangy Duck put in so much effort into that city. You can't throw him under the rug.
I was never informed on the support of Tangy Duck. I have to say that is a fault on me. I was not.
He put in so much effort into Boston after reformists ditched the city, after they left it level 1. I mean, come on now. You don't even know what your city is. You don't know anything about it.
I live in my city, and I helped build a lot of those cities. A lot of those buildings. We never.
Did you build any of the buildings?
Yes, I did. But we did not leave that. The Greens left.
How many buildings did you contribute?
I've contributed to about 5 buildings. I built 1 on my own.
Putting a furnace in a building doesn't count.
So, like I was trying to say, is another thing I'd like to say. We were not the ones that started with Boston.
Okay, guys, we're going to move past this question, okay? It's taking too long. If you guys want to talk about this, you can talk about it after the main questions, okay?
Alright.
We're going to move on to foreign policy. Now, how will you guys strengthen alliances to counter any and current future global threats, such as France or Congo? We're going to move the time down to 1 minute. And I'm going to start with Cursor, okay? And the floor is yours.
Alright, thank you. So, I want to promote the Organization of Free Nations. This is the American alliance. no offense to Dylan, but under his administration, it's sort of lost its potential. I want to bring that back. I want the OFN to be a name like NATO, a name that people know. The Organization of Free Nations should be a shining beacon of liberty. We need to promote other republics, to promote other democracies. We need to make a free world. We can't just sit in America, isolationist, and let other countries just live in filth and live in dictatorship and monarchy. We have a duty to free them, a duty to establish democracy. So, to put it simply, I want to spread democracy to other countries and protect democracies from foreign aggression and colonialism. That's what I stand for.
Bernie, you have a minute. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I think the OFN needs to be expanded, needs to be brought back and continued into glory. I think France is a problem, and they always be. Me and Kurza can agree on that. France, Canada, Texas, their entire alliance needs to be wiped out. And I think we need to do that by expanding the OFN. We already have ties with many countries. The Netherlands, they're already at war with France. The British, the UCL, are Texas. We have many people, we have many nations together that we need to fight for liberty. We need to come together and we need to destroy these monarchs, destroy these communists, and bring liberty and freedom back to our world. Thank you.
Can I have a rebuttal against that?
You have a minute.
So I don't really see the point of a debate if you're just going to form your opinions based on what I'm saying and just copy everything I'm saying. Because you never say the same thing as me if you speak first, and you always say the same thing as me when I speak before you do. So what's up with that? Is that just a weird coincidence?
Well, an OFN expansion plan has been something we have been working on for a long while. I think, especially since I've gotten here, me and the UCL, I've had some relations to the UCL.
The UCL is not in the Organization of Free Nations. Do you know who is in the Organization of Free Nations?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
A second, I'll be right back.
Okay. Do you want to answer another question quickly, or do you want to wait until Bernie's back?
I mean, whatever you want to do. I mean, I would prefer if you would answer the question I just asked.
So sorry to end it here, but I just found